The Aquatics program does a great job of fulfilling the scouting motto of fun with a purpose. We don't want our scouts to be afraid of the water, and it's surprising after just a very short time, an hour, how scouts can develop a lot of confidence in the water and develop their swimming skills. You can do this with your dens or as a pack in an activity and follow the guidelines in their handbooks to achieve their adventure, or you can also do it by their ability. Some scouts will have swimming lessons, others are new to the water, and you can separate your groups that way too. But however you do it, this Cub Scout Aquatics program does a great job of helping Cub Scouts be comfortable and safe in the water. Every swimming activity must be closely monitored by a trained rescue team on the alert to respond to any emergencies. Professionally trained lifeguards can satisfy that need. When lifeguards are not provided, the adult supervisor must assign at least 2 rescue personnel with additional members to maintain a 1-to-10 ratio. The supervisor must provide instruction and rescue equipment. The qualified supervisor works with the trained rescue personnel to keep this activity safe. So one of the things about Scout that I really enjoy is it is fun with a purpose. And aquatics is one of those things that really fits that bill. Who doesn't think that swimming and boating isn't fun? But we need to have a purpose in teaching these young boys and girls how to swim and how to be safe on the water, because accidental drowning is like the 5th leading cause of accidental deaths in the United States. So it's very important that we consider these things. So one of the first things we do with our Cub Scouts is teach them the safety chant on the water. This is how it goes. And you get them snapping their fingers, so you can do this, or you can just snap your fingers, okay? If someone's watching, never swim alone. C is check the rules, know where you can roam. O is only buddies should go from the shore. U is know what you can do, don't do any more. T is tell a grown-up if someone is in need. Scout spells safety, now you take the lead. One of the other things we always want to consider when we're teaching boys and girls and Cub Scouts about water safety is our Guide to Safe Scouting. In the back, it has a whole section on aquatics. And when it comes to Cub Scouts, there's paddle sports, and there's swimming, and there's snorkeling in confined water, and there's commercial marine transport and day rides on a large private craft with a trained adult operator. Those are the areas that Cub Scouts can actually participate in. Okay. One of the most important things with water safety is your life jacket. And this is one of the things you want to teach your Cub Scouts, how to properly put on a life jacket. This is a good style. When they do it, they need to buckle all the buckles and straps. When you pull up on the shoulders, it shouldn't be able to go over their head. If it does, you need to go a size smaller. And it's not a good idea to put an adult-sized life jacket on the younger child and think you can cinch it up. It really doesn't work. A couple of other styles. This is the horseshoe style, and it just goes over the head and sits around. This will actually keep their head up in the water, and is one of the least expensive types of flotation devices. Another one is just one that you can throw out there. Bing! So they can grab that and keep afloat. So those are just 3 different styles of life flotation devices. When it comes to aquatics, there are 3 different classifications of swimmers. First, there is the non-swimmer. Second, there is the beginner swimmer. And third, there is the swimmer. Okay. And when we do our swimming programs for the different levels, we start with tigers, and then we go to the wolves and bears and the webelos. The tiger basically is learning how to just flutter kick and hold their breath underwater. And their skills are pretty small, and they should be a non-swimmer, and they don't want to be anything over their chest in the water. Then you have the beginner swimmers. By the time they're a beginner swimmer, they need to be able to swim 25 feet without stopping and be able to turn around and swim back. So that's the beginner, and they can go a little bit over their head. I need to double check that. And then there's the swimmer, and that one usually is our Webelos and Arrowlights, Cub Scouts, and if they can pass off this test, then that lets them do a lot more things in the water than the beginner and the non-swimmer. And they have to be able to swim 75 yards, and with that they need to swim at least 50 yards in a strong stroke, which can be a crawl or a breaststroke or a side stroke, and then they need to be able to turn and then swim the last 25 yards in a resting backstroke. And then they need to also be able to tread water when they get back. So that's the swimmer level. In the manuals, the Tigers is called floats and boats. So they learn about the different kinds of boats that are there, as well as some of those very, very basic swimming skills. Then the wolf has the spirit of the water, and they also, besides their swimming skills, they also learn a little bit about water conservation. And then there's the Salmon Run, and this is for the bears, and they learn to do a little bit more. They will be working on passing that beginner test, as well as learning more about boat safety and more skills with rescuing. And then the Aquanaut is with our Webelos and Arrow of Light, and they will be the ones trying to pass off their swimmer test, as well as more boating skills and rescue skills. So with the Tigers, we have this little chart that we use that gives them an idea of the different kinds of boats. There's the rowboat, the canoe, the kayak, a sailboat, and a motorboat. So those are 5 different styles of boats that Tigers can learn about. We have these laminated sheets that we use when we're at the swimming pool. Now, we use the swimming pool in Bozeman because they have lifeguards on duty, and they have different levels of depth in the water that the Scouts can use. But because they have the lifeguards, they also have life jackets. They also have rescue tubes and things that they can throw out. So that's a good place to go. Otherwise, you need to have someone to be a lifeguard when you go swimming, and you also need to have watchers when they're swimming, which you still need to have watchers when you're at the swimming pool, just to watch the kids. So in here we talk about Tigers, floats and boats. With your den, say the Scout water safety chant. Talk why it's important to have a buddy, and then play the buddy game. So the buddy game is where each Scout, you get pairs, and each pair picks a different animal. And then you get in a circle, and then you turn around 3 times in the water and close your eyes. Then you make the animal sound, and they're supposed to try to find their buddy in the water. And when they find their buddy, they hold hands and hold it up in the air, and that's their buddy. So that's just a fun way for them to think about the buddy system. And then anytime you say buddy check, the Scouts should find their buddy and raise their hand in the air. And you need to do that several times while you're doing the training with the Cub Scouts. With the wolf, you discuss water in your community and how it can be polluted. Explain how you can conserve water in your home. And you talk about swimming as an exercise and why it's important. And you can also go over the Scout chant. And then you can visit a local pool where you're supposed to jump in water, chest high, swim 25 feet. So that is the wolf is running for. The bear is called the Salmon Run. And they explain the importance of response personnel or lifeguards in the swimming area, and also the buddy system. You're supposed to visit a pool or swimming area and take a swimming lesson. So you need to be safe, and there again you need to have your buddy. Explain the safety rules that you need to follow before participating in boating, and that is called Boating Safety Afloat. Identify the safety equipment needed when going boating, which would be your flotation devices. Demonstrate correct rowing or paddling. And you need to get an oar that would fit the boys. So this is shorter than what you might have in most of your boats. But we have them to sit along the side of the pool and then practice paddling so that they know how to do that. And then we also talk a lot about rescue techniques. The first one is a reach, which you can use whatever's available. It can be your arm, it can be a fishing pole, it can be a towel, a tree branch, a pool noodle. And we tell the boys, the Cub Scouts, that they should lie down to do that so that they don't accidentally get pulled into the water. And I also like to do a sink or float game using different objects so that the Cub Scouts can get an idea of what will work as a flotation device that they can throw out. And that's the throw activity, which can be like a drink cooler, an empty gallon, a rope, anything that you can throw past the victim and then pull it back in. And then they need to demonstrate the front crawl stroke and earn their BSA, beginner swim classification, which is jumping feet first in 6 feet of water, level off and swim 25 feet, stop, turn sharply, and resume swimming. Then the Webelos. They also have to state the safety precautions before you do any water activity, and that's called safe swim defense and boating safety afloat. Discuss the importance of the learning skills you need to have before going boating. And explain the meaning of order of rescue, and demonstrate the reach and throw rescue techniques from land. So the reach is like we talked about from shore, where you might throw a towel out, a pool noodle, a fishing pole, something that you're staying on shore. The throw is where you actually throw something out to the swimmer and pull them in. And then row, you might need to row out, and here you would need a trained person that can handle the boat, and you need to be in a life jacket. And here again, you always want to tell an adult if someone is in need. And then you attempt the BSA swimmer test, which is jump feet first into water, over your head, level off, and swim 100 yards without stopping, and one sharp turn. 75 yards is in a strong stroke, and 25 yards is in the resting backstroke, and then you rest by floating. So I was wrong before. So safe swim defense. These are some of the rules. You need to have qualified supervision. In Cub Scouts, you need to have your leaders take the safe swim defense, as well as their youth protection. Physical fitness. They shouldn't be sick, and they shouldn't have any open wounds. They should swim in a safe area. So if you're out in the lake, you need to be aware of if there's any deep drop-offs or sharp rocks or glass or stumps. There should be a lifeguard on duty. You need to have at least 2 lifeguards and 1 lookout. And ability groups, you need to be able to know what ability groups your scouts are. Is there a swimmer, a beginner, or a non-swimmer? And also always use the buddy system and discipline. Make sure you follow the rules. For boating safety, you also need the qualified supervision. You should also be physically fit. They should, if they're not a swimmer, you must have a buddy with a swimmer to row or paddle a boat, or an adult swimmer in the canoe. You need to have life jackets. Use the buddy system. You need to know your boat. You need to plan and check the weather. That's always important. And know your equipment. And again, you need to enforce the discipline, that they understand the rules and can obey the leader. So I hope you will encourage your Cub Scouts to participate in the aquatics program. Not only is it fun, but it will help them to be safe in the water. It is always a great concern whenever you're around water that something can happen. But we don't want that to happen. So this is why we have this course to help you. And hopefully it'll encourage these scouts to become better swimmers. In a very short time, they can develop quite a few skills to help them be safe in the water.